A while back in one of my videos, and I don't remember which one it was, I think I showed you this picture here and mentioned that there was a dealer who had a large amount of postcards that I was trying to get together with to purchase some of them. Well, about 2 weeks ago, I was able to sit down with him and go through this entire lot of postcards, and I was able to buy some of them, not all of them. This dealer drives a hard bargain, and I wasn't able to buy it all at this time, but I was able to come away with 4 albums, and I'm going to show you those now. Out of that pile that you saw there in the picture, this is what I came home with. Four albums. And as you can see, full of cards. And the first 2 here, it's hard to tell. I don't think that they are necessarily original albums from collectors, but somebody at some point may have just used the album and put cards back in it. The 2 albums over here I know are not original because the dealer himself compiled these from loose cards that he had. He put them in here to protect them. So they're nice cards, but this isn't an original old album, and neither is this one here. Again, now this one is full, has a lot of real photo cards in the front. Unfortunately, most are unidentified, but some of them I think I can do some research, and some of them are just such nice views. I think I can do something with them as well. And the back of the book, kind of empty, but then more cards in here that he put in. So what I'm going to do is, like the last time I showed you some albums that I bought. These are pretty awkward to try to go through and show them in their original form. So what I'm going to do is break these all down. So what I have done is simply number them 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's how we will refer to them as I go through the process. And then I'm going to show you those cards for each album. Okay, so this is album number 1, and let's see what was in it. I've taken everything out now. We've got the Union Railroad Station in Kansas City, Missouri waiting room. That's a nice interior view. Stock Exchange in Kansas City. The Stock Yards in Kansas City. This is a municipal wharf in San Diego, California. Here's a view at the Panama, California Exposition in San Diego in 1915. There's a railroad car. You can see it says down here Burlington Route along the Burlington's Mississippi River Scenic Line. Here's the Grand Drive, Forest Park, St. Louis, Missouri. This is the Federal Reserve Bank in Kansas City. 27th and C Street entrance to Antelope Park in Lincoln, Nebraska. Sunken Gardens, Kansas City, Missouri. Another view at the Panama, California Expo in 1915. This is the Washington State Building. Here's a view in Yellowstone Park. This is Coulter Peak in Yellowstone Lake. That is a says Haynes photo. Got a lot of views in here of Yellowstone Park. This is the Shoshone River below the Holy City. I had seen somewhere that the lower numbers on these cards can be more valuable. I don't know much about that. If anybody out there knows anything about that, let me know. You can see this one here. I'll get it closer. This one here is Yellowstone Park number 3. So that's would be a low one, I would guess, if I'm looking at the right thing. Here's a spiral bridge on Cody Road, Yellowstone. Road along the shore of the Shoshone Reservoir. Get a grip on these. This is Chimney Rock on the Cody Road to Yellowstone Park. This is the towers along Cody Road in Shoshone Canyon, Yellowstone Park. Natural tunnels on the Cody Road. First tunnel in Shoshone Canyon over here. This is Buffalo Bill Memorial, Cody, Wyoming. And here's an Indian encampment. Does not say where that is. A couple Indian cards here. This is Lazy Boy, Old Blackfeet Indian warrior and hunter. Not a very flattering name, Lazy Boy. This is Chief Red Cloud. Here is the Old Moccasin Princess, Dawn Mist, and Chief Wolf Robe at Glacier National Park in Montana. Here's some typical cowboys waiting their turn at the bucking contest. Here's the Burlington Cody Inn in Cody, Wyoming. And along with this is a real photo view. You can see this is the same place. It's not identified on the card, but fortunately I have this one to compare it to, so I know where this is. So I'm going to keep those together for now. Here's a cowboy riding a wild bucking buffalo. Another cowboy riding a horse says letter buck. Here's the airport, county airport between McKeesport and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Here's 28th Street in Billings, Montana. Nice street scene. Here is the Auditorium and Exhibition Hall at the Midland Empire Fair in Billings, Montana. Another view at the Panama, California Expo. This is the Indian Arts Building. Here's a motel, the Alamo Plaza Hotel Courts. There's located in a bunch of different cities, as you can see at the bottom there. Another view at the Panama, California Expo. This is the Ethnology Building, showing California towers in the background. Back to Yellowstone Park. This is the lookout on the summit of Mount Washburn. This is on Mount Washburn Road at Yellowstone. Still in Yellowstone, looking south from the summit of Mount Washburn. From the summit of Mount Washburn again, very similar to that last card. Here's a bear in Yellowstone Park. Here's some more bears in Yellowstone Park feeding on hotel garbage. Here is the Kepler Cascades in Yellowstone Park. Eagle Nest Rock in Gardner Canyon, Yellowstone Park. Lower Falls, Yellowstone Park. Setting the table for bears at the lake camp. Well, that's interesting. The bears seem rather tame. Here's a campfire entertainment at night, Yellowstone Park. Looking down Grand Canyon from Grandview in Yellowstone. Great Falls and Point Lookout in Yellowstone. Quite a few Yellowstone Park cards in here. Grand Canyon from Artist Point. Again, same card, Grand Canyon from Artist Point. Lower Falls of the Yellowstone from below Lookout Point. This is Temple Square, Salt Lake City, Utah. Back to Yellowstone Canyon Camp Lodge interior. Here's the Canyon Hotel. Panama, California Expo again. This is a vista from State Buildings Plaza. Montana on the right and Washington on the left. Back to Yellowstone. This is the Chittenden Bridge and auto stages. Chittenden Bridge. Crater of a mud volcano. Feeding a wild bear. Again, people don't seem to have much fear of the bears there in Yellowstone. I don't know if that's a good idea. Lake Yellowstone by moonlight. This entrance to Golden Gate. The official Gardner Gateway. Gardner entrance arch again. We just saw that one in the last card. Jupiter Terrace. Deer near Mammoth, still in Yellowstone. Cleopatra Terrace, showing hot springs in the distance. The Devil's Pot, Sunset Cliffs, San Diego, California. Back to Yellowstone. Here's some buffalo in Yellowstone Park. Here's an old stagecoach, Yellowstone Park. Here is a mule deer buck. Wintertime there. You can see the snow on the ground. Cliff Spring at Yellowstone Park. Fishing cone. Yellowstone Lake. Upper Geyser Basin from Castle Geyser. Firehole Lake. Pulpit Terrace. Excelsior Pool overflowing into Firehole River. If you like Yellowstone Park, this is the album for you. Orange Terrace. Mammoth Paint Pots at Yellowstone. Mammoth Paint Pots again. Cleopatra Terrace. I think we might have seen that one already. Angel Terrace. Petrified Tree. Liberty Cap. Mount Washburn. Needles near Tower Fall. Brigham Young Monument in Salt Lake City. And there's Brigham Young himself. This is the Union Pacific Railroad Station at the western entrance of West Yellowstone Park. West Yellowstone Station, probably, I believe that's the same building that we just looked at. Christmas Tree Park. Old Faithful Inn lobby. That's a nice interior view. The Old Faithful Inn exterior view. What do we have here? Old Faithful Inn, another exterior view, different angle. Here's Riverside Geyser. Here is the Morning Glory Spring. I mentioned earlier I wasn't sure of the age of these albums, if they were authentic albums or if somebody had just put them together more recently. But these cards, as I took them out, definitely have been in the album for a while. A lot of them have the, you know, slight impressions and dirt marks where they were clipped into the album. So I do believe this album was an authentic album put together by somebody a long time ago. Most of the cards are unposted, but a few were posted and they had the same name on the background. So that seems like an album that was original. Back to Yellowstone Park. Here's Lakeshore Geyser erupting. Beehive Geyser. Old Faithful interruption. Here's the Handkerchief Pool. I don't know what's exactly going on there, but that's an interesting card. I've never been to Yellowstone, so I don't know. I've never seen any of these things personally. Here's another giant geyser. Old Faithful Geyser. I've certainly heard of that one. Punch Bowl interruption. Here is the Emerald Pool. Grotto Geyser Cone. White Elephant. I assume that's this rock formation here. There's the Sapphire Pool and Biscuit Basin. Okay, I guess those kind of look like biscuits there. Here is the Golden Gate Driveway. Here's Camp Roosevelt Cottages. Here's the Silver Gate through the Hoodoos. Winter Scene, Temple Grounds, Salt Lake City, Utah. I don't find Salt Lake City to be a very big seller for me. Interior of Mormon Tabernacle, Salt Lake City. Here's the Temple Block and Brigham Young Monument. Again, you can see the shadowing there at the corners that kind of indicates he's been in that album for a long time. Great Mormon Tabernacle and Seagull Monument. Tabernacle Organ and Choir, Salt Lake City. Construction of Tabernacle Roof, Salt Lake City. Mormon Tabernacle, Salt Lake City. Eagle Gate with the state capitol in the distance, Salt Lake City. Airplane view, a portion of Salt Lake City. Here is the interior of the Great Dome of the Utah State Capitol. Seen at the completion of the railroad mural painting in Union Station, Salt Lake City. This is the Corner of Agricultural exhibit at the Utah State Capitol. This is the Great Seal of the state of Utah. Neat looking card there. Here we have the Utah State Capitol again, and this says Massasoit. I assume that's this Indian statue over here. Don't know who Massasoit was. Here's the corridor and main stairways at the Utah State Capitol. Supreme Court Room in the Utah State Capitol. Senate chamber in the Utah State Capitol. Private office of the Secretary of State in the Capitol. Lots of Capitol building cards here. House of Representatives, Utah State Capitol. The boardroom of the U.S. State Capitol. Utah State Capitol. Here's the governor's private office at the Utah State Capitol building. Here is the Capitol building at night. That's a really dark card, hard to make out much detail there. Governor's reception room at the Capitol. The Utah State Capitol, Salt Lake City, that's a nice attractive card, nice view with some embellishments there. A planar view of the Capitol. Now we're in Chicago. This is Grant Park showing the museum and stadium. The Field Museum of Natural History in Chicago. The Conservatory at Como Park, St. Paul, Minnesota. Michigan Boulevard Bridge in Chicago. This is the North Platte River on the Union Pacific Railroad. This is Gateway to Pikes Peak Auto Highway in Colorado. The Panama, California Expo again. This is the plaza entrance to the Arts and Crafts Building, 1915. Here's a bird's eye view in Cheyenne, Wyoming. This is Dale Creek Valley in Wyoming. Back at the expo, this is the San Joaquin Valley County's building. Devil's Gate, Weber's Canyon, Utah. Green River, Wyoming from Castle Rock. Bear River Canyon, Utah. Hanging Bridge, Royal Gorge in Grand Canyon of the Arkansas in Colorado. Bingham Canyon, Utah. General view of the Utah Copper Company's property in Bingham, Utah. So a copper mine. Salt beds near Salt Lake City. Western Pacific Train crossing the Great Salt Beds, Salduro, Utah. The Salt Air Pavilion in Great Salt Lake, Utah. Salt Air Pavilion and Bathers, again in Great Salt Lake, Utah. The Temple Towers from the Roof Garden Hotel, Utah, Salt Lake City. View from Hotel Utah, again from the Roof Garden, showing Wasatch Mountains. The first house built in Utah, now under a pergola, Salt Lake City. Panama, California Expo. This is the entrance to the Commerce and Industries Colonnade. The Temple Block, Salt Lake City, Utah. Paula Negri in the garden of her home in Beverly Hills, California. Paula Negri. I'm going to guess that she was an actress, and so she is a celebrity. I don't know much about her. I do believe I've heard that name before, so I'll do a little research on that one. Back at the Panama, California Expo, this is the Southern Counties building. Union Stockyards in Chicago. Cattle pens at the Union Stockyards in Chicago. Flower Garden, Fountain and Conservatory, Lincoln Park, Chicago. The Bear Pit at Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago. Sunken Gardens and Conservatory, Washington Park, Chicago. Interior of the conservatory in Washington Park, Chicago. You can see all the colorful flowers there. Lincoln Monument, Lincoln Park, Chicago. Interior of the conservatory, Garfield Park, Chicago. Interurban Railroad in Independence, Kansas. That's a nice card. Nice close-up of the train car there. Double-deck motor buses on Lincoln Park driveway in Chicago. Also interesting, the double-deck buses. Here's a bird's eye view of the Promenade, Municipal Pier, Chicago. Sheridan Monument in Sheridan Road in Belmont Outer Drive, Chicago. Outer Harbor and Recreation Pier, Chicago. Municipal Pier, Chicago. Ryerson Laboratory at the University of Chicago. Beach scene at the foot of Oak Street showing the Drake Hotel in the background. This is also Chicago. Picturesque beauty at Sailors Lake, Pennsylvania. This is the Wrigley Building in Chicago. Lakeshore Drive, north from Drake Hotel in Chicago. Getting down to the end here. State and Washington Streets, Chicago. Busy day there. It's got the double-deck buses again. Lots of cars and pedestrians. Here is the north approach to Michigan Avenue Bridge in Chicago. Michigan Boulevard and Grant Park, looking south in Chicago, and got a couple Zeppelins in the air there. And it looks like the last card for this album is Michigan Boulevard looking north as seen from an airplane in Chicago. So that's all 185 cards from that first album that I purchased. All in all, for me, not a lot of cards that sell really well, and I didn't really see any high value cards in there. A couple interesting cards, but for the most part, not that interesting to me. But that's the kind of things that you come across when you buy in volume. So that was number 1. Next video, we will take a look at the contents of album number 2. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of video, please give us a like and please subscribe to my channel. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.